Hello again. This afternoon, Ghana's cocoa industry is facing what sector players are describing as one of its most dangerous turning points in decades, with licensed cocoa buyers warning that the entire value chain could collapse if urgent interventions are not implemented. At a press conference, the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana, known as COCOBOD, raised alarm over what it describes as deep structural failures affecting cocoa purchasing, funding, sales strategy and governance within the sector. The association says since the 2023-24 cocoa season, funding for cocoa purchases has deteriorated sharply. Traditionally, the sector relied on an annual syndicated loan facility of more than $1.3 billion. But COCOBOD says COCOBOD was only able to raise $500 million that season, and only 6 months after the season had opened. The licensed cocoa companies, or LBCs, were forced to pre-finance purchases using high-interest bank loans at a time interest rates were close to 30%. Buyers say while they paid farmers promptly, payments for cocoa delivered to ports were delayed for months, pushing many companies into heavy debt and forcing some to collapse. And we're joined in the studio by the president of the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana, known as COCOBOD, Samuel Adimado. Good afternoon, Sam. Welcome to the program. Let us really understand how dire the situation is for you.
Yes, thank you, Ken, and thanks to your listeners. As our press conference alluded, we are at a crossroad to safeguard our cocoa industry. We tried to recapture some of our concerns as a Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association from 2023 to present. And if you look at if you analyze the whole story, we've reached a stage that we need to go back to the drawing board and then rethink of how to position our cocoa as a cocoa economy now till we go into the future. So our press conference tried to raise those alarms. Right. And then, of course, as a business, we also had some specific concerns that we itemized in our press conference.
And I'm going through that press release. You pointed out funding gaps, sales strategy decisions, and governance issues. I want to find out from you, in your view, is this primarily a financial crisis, a management crisis, or a policy crisis? And who is the ultimate bearer of that responsibility?
Yes, I wouldn't use it as a crisis because, crisis it's a challenge that needs to be addressed in the sense that as a business, as LBCs, we borrow from the banks. And then at an interest rate that you need to be mindful of. And then if you understand the cocoa regulatory framework, your margins are fixed.
Yep.
So you can only survive if you're efficient. And being efficient is also reducing losses. So if you buy cocoa delivered to COCOBOD and you are not paid on time, then definitely you are caught in a web where you can really be efficient. And this is what has brought us to the table, that we want to engage COCOBOD and government, because we are not saying the challenges started in 2025-26. You could see that we said from 2023-24 season, some of our members are still having the challenge of not coming out of the situation that were created. And then as we speak, from 2024-25, some of our members are still being owed by COCOBOD, which is not the current regime. And then 2025-26, we have this challenge. Our press conference looked at the models. We said 2024-25, we're using what we call 60-40 model. That means when there was no syndication. And then 2025-26, we changed it to 80-20. And we felt that, yes, this model has brought us this far, but it comes with its challenges. More importantly, in the phase where terminal price fluctuates and goes down, not in your favor, So this is where we are appealing that all cocoa we have supplied, COCOBOD government should pay our members so that those who even owe farmers will be able to pay them. And this morning, this is the third media house that I've spoken to. I got in touch with COCOBOD. They've been paying. And today they made some payment, but the payment is not enough. Not enough in the sense that if you look at if you understand the cocoa business, it's a lot of money that goes into it. And if a member could be owed 1 billion cedis, then you know the money we are talking of. So our appeal, let me put it that our appeal, or what called for the press conference, was to indicate and then encourage COCOBOD and government to settle our members now that under the 80-20 we are confronted with the challenge of lower terminal price, so that we'll be able to solve our financial challenges.
You just mentioned cocoa farmers. What does this predicament mean? What does this mean for cocoa farmers as well?
Yes, if you look at the cocoa regulatory framework, LBCs are the only agency that interface with farmers and COCOBOD when it comes to cocoa sales. We are the only entity that is allowed to go and buy cocoa from farmers and deliver to COCOBOD. And what has happened is, under the 80-20 arrangement, because we have dedicated farmers, purchasing clerks, even if there is no money, the farmer will give his cocoa to the purchasing clerk with the hope that the money will come back. Now, these activities has gone on. Unfortunately, on the part of the purchasing clerk, the cocoa has already been delivered to COCOBOD, and the money is not coming. So by default, the purchasing clerk has borrowed the cocoa from the farmer, and he's not paying. And when this happens, of course, the farmer will be worried. So this is what has brought us to this situation, where the model we are working with as the 80-20 model has brought us to this situation where farmers are saying we've taken their cocoa, but we have not paid. It's not a deliberate situation, because the purchasing clerk knows that there is a long-term relationship with this farmer, and once the cocoa is delivered, the money comes. Now, under this arrangement also, yes, 2024, 25, we got it almost well. So we knew, all things being equal, 2025, 26, we will not have these challenges. So once it has happened, we need to revisit it and then see how we address those challenges.
You've spoken about the 80-20 model.
Correct.
It appears not to be working.
Not to be working, but you need to, if you are working with it, then all things must be equal, including the terminal price, which is not equal.
Do you then want it to be re-looked at?
Yes, our proposal, our suggestion indicate that we should have a model, a hybrid model, where we will apply the 80-20 and then some aspect of the syndication. So 2026-27 season, we have proposed that we look at 2 models that will enable us to address the issue. But in the midst of it, we've also heard that government is looking at an act that will introduce a new pricing mechanism. So we have also requested that government should speed up the process so that we will have a new pricing mechanism. Now, let me use this opportunity to explain. The pricing mechanisms we are working with, which is by an instrument that a committee comes together, which we call Producer Price Review Committee. Beginning of the cocoa season, we look at all the indicators and then have a benchmark price. So 2025-26, we said the FOB drawdown price will be 7,200 USD. This is a public document where the farmer will get 58,000 Ghana cedis per ton, which translates to 5,400 US dollars. So we're saying that if we get Ghana cocoa, we'll sell it on the terminal market at $7,200. We will not have any challenge. The system will roll. Beginning of the season, we planned this way. As we speak, the price has dropped to 4,000 a ton. So what it means is that the PPRC model we've been working with, if you buy the cocoa now from the farmers, you are already at a loss of over $1,000. Then the question is, you add all the actors, the transportation, the LBC margin, and others, then you are getting to $2,000+. So if now you want to sell your cocoa at the terminal price, you cannot even get the money to pay the producer price. Because the model we've been working with is that we have fixed the producer price at, in dollar terms, $5,400. So it's quite challenging and a very complex situation where we felt that together with all the stakeholders, we need to address that. But in addressing that, we've already committed ourselves. We're going to pick cocoa from farmers, we've borrowed from the bank, we've delivered cocoa to COCOBOD. So the situation is that COCOBOD should take the bold initiative to pay our members, to pay us, and then defray the debts that, let me put it that way, that we have. Then when that is done, we'll get to an equal level playing field where we can look at all the issues.
Right.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that COCOBOD has been making payment, but it is not sufficient.
Yes.
How much collectively are you owed?
If I'm to quote the figure offhand, let me give you an analysis. One of our members is owed by COCOBOD, not under the 2025-26 season, over $180 million. One member.
Just one member?
One member. When you add it to the current situation, which I might not be able to quote the figure offhand, but one of our members under the current situation is being owed of over 1 billion cedis. 1 billion. So the debt as it is not, it's quite big, but that needs to be addressed. That is why we are adapting these engaging processes, engaging dialoguing processes to address that. Yes, we've been talking to COCOBOD. They have an open door system for us. We want to encourage them and then also bring in government, Ministry of Finance. We are under Ministry of Finance. So we want to look at how we can be helped because as I'm talking to you, imagine you are heading a company and you are already in debt of over $100 million. How do you go to your board? How do you behave in the boardroom? It's quite, let me use the word, it's quite embarrassing. So
by these estimates, will I be correct to say that your members are owed in excess of $1 billion?
$1 billion is quite a huge, but it's quite a significant amount that needs to be addressed. So our press conference is to, of course, open the Pandora's box for those who cannot take the bold initiative to in a way, make that move. And we are also indicated, all the press houses who indicated that we don't want to politicize the situation because it's business. And we don't want to, of course, address our issues through the media, but once the media is part of our efforts in making the country well, we've opened that opportunity. We are, I believe from next week, we are going to engage with COCOBOD to together see how we address these issues. It's quite a challenging issue, yeah.
Right. I was just about asking you the last time you engaged COCOBOD, but since you say that you're going to engage COCOBOD next week, that's fine. You mentioned that you want the finance ministry, which you are under, to also come on board. Are you having any plans to engage them as well?
Yes, our engagement with COCOBOD is fluid. Anytime we talk, we call on phone. This morning, as I told you, before going to my first media house, I called to find out how is the payment going. So this is an opportunity to draw the attention of the Minister of Finance to come in. I know they have other issues to look at, to come in and together see how we address this issue.
Have you formally informed them?
Because we work under COCOBOD, is our regulator. So I believe COCOBOD are already in talk with them, and that is where we can mention some of the things in the pipeline. But we need to deepen that. We need to deepen that. so that we save time. Time is of essence. We save time and then position ourselves in a good situation that we can survive. Yeah.
You mentioned that you are regularly phoning the COCOBOD authorities to speak to them. Some would argue that perhaps your approach is too soft. That's why you're not getting responses.
It's not only phone. If you understand the nature of our business well, sorry to smile. If you understand the nature of our business well, you cannot do this kind of business in a confrontational mood. You need to be a top-notch businessman with diplomacy, respect, and understand people's feelings, so that you can address issues. We cannot go that tangent and then be confrontational. That is why over the years you've seen that we've never been confrontational, but we try to mention issues that has happened, not even under the current management, and we were never confrontational.
Right.
Yes.
I wish you all the best, Samuel. Samuel Adimado is the president of the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana, also known as LICOBAG. Let's bring you more stories this afternoon because the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Randy Abbey, has dismissed claims that funds meant for cocoa farmers were diverted to purchase vehicles for management, saying the acquisitions were strictly for operational purposes. His response follows public concerns that Cocoa Board had used resources earmarked for farmers to buy cars for directors. Randy Abbey clarified that while about 22 vehicles have been procured, none were purchased for personal use. He explained that the vehicles are intended to strengthen field operations and enhance service delivery across cocoa growing communities.
Also some issues that have come up. And also because I say that this also marks 1 year and 2 weeks of me being in office, I need to also speak about what has happened over the last 1 year, especially what we met and how we're trying to get out of it. But I see that there is some news that appears to be hot news, so to speak. And that has to do with, I think, a post by a former employee of this company. And that has gone viral and everybody is speaking about it. I see that people have even done videos with it. And the post I saw said that at a time when farmers are not being paid, COCOBOD has bought 4 Land Cruisers and 110 pickups. So clearly, you can tell the intent of this post to incite farmers, to create the impression that the money that should be used to pay farmers is being used to purchase vehicles. And they even state that the vehicles have been bought for regional directors and district directors. Meanwhile, anybody who's worked here before is expected to know better, you know. And I've explained to you about the fact that this crop is being funded by buyers. So it's not even as if we are even taking a syndicated loan and we are using the loan to go and buy vehicles. But let me address the issue. It is true that we have ordered vehicles. Some of them have started, some of them have been delivered. So on your way here, you would have seen some new pickups. I think about 20 something. 20 of them have been delivered. So it's supposed to be 22 because it is one of them, the very first one. That is what we gave out as the award to the National Best Cocoa Farmer on the Farmers' Day. Is one of them. And then, for those who have also been following, the Bunsu Cocoa College anniversary, the pickup that was given to the college is also one of those ones that were ordered. But let me tell you what the issues are. When I assumed office in January of last year, I was informed that I was entitled to 2 official vehicles. And that is the policy here at COCOBOD. A cross-country vehicle, or what people commonly refer to as 4x4, a Land Cruiser. And then a saloon vehicle. That is what is assigned to the chief executive and also the deputy chief executives. Now, there was no official vehicle for the chief executive when I assumed office. No official vehicle for the chief executive. No saloon car, no Land Cruiser. So, the department responsible for transport then decided to initiate the steps to procure these vehicles for official use. But that period also coincided with my nationwide tour of all the cocoa districts and all our offices. And I'm sure you remember that I went everywhere. Okay. Now we have 74 cocoa districts. 74. Now, on my tour of these districts, not only did I see the deplorable nature of the roads, but I also saw the state of what you want to call operational vehicles.
And still on cocoa, the Ghana COCOBOD says it has begun paying licensed buying companies to clear arrears owed to cocoa farmers for beans already delivered. The move follows concerns over months of payment delays, which COCOBOD attributes to difficulties in securing syndicated financing. Meanwhile, Deputy Presidential Spokesperson Shamima Muslim has blamed the previous MPP government for the situation, alleging it left nearly 40 million Ghana cedis in debt in the cocoa sector and accusing some opposition-aligned farmers of fueling the concerns.
Yeah. It's very rich what Fifi Boafo has just done, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to engage in aggressive attack and distortion and the clutching of straws so that they can fudge the matters and remove, scrutiny from what they did. Let me announce and say clearly that they left a debt of 32.9 billion cedis. That is what NPP left behind when they exited.
Oh, it's 32.
And it was 9 billion in total cedis. I was breaking it down into our commitments in dollar terms and in cedi terms, because some of our debts is in dollar terms as well. And again, I said that it is not true that COCOBOD is not buying. Why these kinds of lies? The farmers that we have bought from, they know, and I've just given you the figures. These are the volumes that COCOBOD has purchased from our farmers through the license buying companies. We have purchased 650,000, we have projected 650,000 tons. We have purchased 500, we have sold actually.
No,
we have sold 530,000.
You didn't say you're not buying.
Listen to what he said. He says that we are not
selling.
No, we are not selling.
So
and I'm saying that we have sold 530,000 tons of the 650,000 projected. And that's what I'm telling you, that we've done 90%.
Okay. All right.
So we are hoping to complete 30%,
okay.
the 10%
okay.
by the close of the, but let me let him know that we are aware of what they are doing behind the scenes.
Much.
The instigations they are, instigating farmers, sympathetic to the MPP cause.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, former Public Relations Officer of COCOBOD, Fifi Boafo, has also responded, arguing that Shamima Muslim does not fully appreciate the real challenges facing COCOBOD.
I find it very, very worrying listening to Shamima, my sister, explaining why we are here. I know Shamima doesn't work at COCOBOD. She is only stating these information, sharing out this information because she has been briefed. And the worrying aspect is that the true situation has been hidden from Shamima, who is at the presidency. So she does not appreciate the enormity of the problem, the real situation we find ourselves in, the hole that the new management have dug and put us in as a country. The presidency is not getting the information.
Let's get talking and go into the telephone lines right now and speak to the national president of the Concerned Cocoa Farmers Association, Nana Obuade Bonsu II. Grateful for your time this afternoon. COCOBOD says it has started paying the various LBCs. What is your reaction to this particular development?
Yeah, well, good evening to your viewers and listeners. Currently, a lot of the latest development that is coming up, which I think maybe you can give the update. And for the start, there's an engagement going on that I think if by 6 o'clock would be nice for us to come out like that. I think because at the end of the day, the terror situation is at stake, and then farmers are really crying for their money not being paid. But there's a debate going on right away, and I'm currently part of the meeting, and I can assure you that by 6 o'clock, maybe there was something that's coming up.
Right. Nana Obuade Bonsu II, thank you very much. He's the president of the Concerned Farmers Association of Ghana.